Part 62. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 611. Yang Ming had a panoramic view of the expressions of the people in the room, especially Fei Che-yun, Fu Pinghui, Yuan Wenkai, and Xiao Zhuojun of our company. After all, there are 4 people facing each other now, and it is clear that they want the Li group to bleed. However, as one of the general managers of the company, these 4 people have no intention of taking care of the company at all. On the contrary, they are colluding with outsiders. This is more hateful than the 4 Dopeng who opened their mouths like a lion. Yang Ming heard this and said, "What do you mean? If you don't approve this fake self, then our cooperation will be ruined." Hearing this, Dopeng and the 4 others just smiled and said nothing. Fu Pinghui frowned and said, "Mr. Yang, what do you mean by this? Mr. Do and Mr. Ma are not such people." As a subordinate, he shouldn't have said this, and it wasn't his turn to say it. But the underlying meaning behind the words was to blame Yang Ming for being ignorant and unable to speak, and slandering Dopeng and the others. Mr. Do and the others came all the way and it was very hard. As local hosts, we should also fulfill our obligations as landlords, Fu Pinghui said slowly. What do you think? Yes, Director Yang, we are doing this for the good of the company. Yuan Wenkai also smiled, with a rather teasing smile. You don't want the company to lose such a big business, right? Xiao Zhuojun also said, after all, we have cooperated for so long. As long as this business cooperation is stable, our Li group will not say it will hit the top 500 in the world, but at least domestically we should have a place among the top 500, so you have to be careful. Both inside and outside the words were threatening. Yang Ming really wanted to beat these bullies to death. He was just eating them inside and out. He couldn't help it. They were too honest when the 4 major families were just destroyed. No one honestly expected that they would undergo such amazing changes in the days to come. Even more and more excessive. Just like today, he was not looked down upon as an executive director at all. After Fei Che-yun and the others finished speaking, they looked at Yang Ming with amusing eyes, waiting for him to make a choice. Buzz. Yang Ming took out his cell phone and looked at it, then suddenly stood up and said, "Since the 4 of you have said so, Yang will formally inform them here that the company has company rules and systems, and everything must be done in accordance with the rules and systems. This is not my company, so please think twice." Fei Che-yun and the other 4, who had smiles on their faces, were a little stunned. Perhaps, none of them expected that Yang Ming would dare to say this. "Director Yang, are you sure? If you really want to make such a decision, the company will face huge losses." Fei Che-yun was reborn again, his tone affirmative. "What? If a company's executive director makes any decision, you still have to teach him?" "Who?" I saw the door of the reception room was pushed open, and a handsome young man stood at the door. His eyes were cold, and he was obviously still just a child, but his whole body exuded an invisible and indescribable pressure. Li Donglong stood at the door, staring at Fei Che-yun and others with his dark eyes. "Who are you? Who let you in? Where's the security guard? What do you want to eat?" Fei Che-yun and others looked a little ugly. Since when can even a little kid come into the reception room of the Li group? There was another burst of hissing, and a bunch of security guards rushed in outside. Yang Ming narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at the young man in front of him curiously, and had to exclaim, "It really looks like him. He and the young master are almost carved out of the same mold, but he is much more heroic than the young master when he was a child." Xiao Yang, deputy captain of the security team, immediately said in panic, "Mr. Xiao." Xiao Zhuojun pointed at Li Donglong and said, "Does the company support you for a living? Who allowed you to let a child in?" At this time, he cursed angrily at Henry Zhang, not taking Yang Ming seriously at all. Even if he is looking for trouble, it should be Yang Ming. Li Donglong saw this and couldn't help but shook his head. Grandpa Yang was still soft-hearted after all. "I'm sorry, it was my fault," Henry Zhang apologized repeatedly to Xiao Zhuojun, but he didn't even look at Yang Ming. After Henry Zhang apologized, he looked at Li Donglong with red lips and white teeth with hatred, and winked at the security guards around him. Several security guards immediately stepped forward and prepared to detain Li Donglong. When Yang Ming saw this, he sighed and prepared to stand up. Henry. Vice Captain Xiao, Li Donglong spoke, his voice was clear but unusually calm. This made everyone present stunned, and they didn't understand why this young man knew his name. Li Donglong met Henry Zhang's doubtful gaze and said, "Is it Mr. Li who pays your salary, or is it Mr. Xiao?" When Henry Zhang heard this, he immediately sneered and said, "Little bastard, you still want to sow discord." Although the salary was paid by the Li family, Xiao Yang was Xiao Zhuojun's man. "Take it." Henry Zhang's eyes changed and he said viciously, "I now suspect that this person is a spy who disguised himself and sneaked into our company with the intention of stealing our company's secrets." A big hat was immediately buckled off, and just after Henry Zhang finished speaking, several security guards immediately took action. "Stop!" Another group of people rushed in at the door, also wearing security uniforms. "Xiao Yang, what do you want to do?" Song Xiaoyan, who was wearing the uniform of a security captain, scolded. Song Xiaoyan did not belong to any faction. Because he was paid by the Li family, he was only loyal to the Li family. However, Song Xiaoyan currently has no backer in the company, so his background is not strong and he is quite stubborn. Fei Chaiyun, Xiao Zhuojun and others did try to win him over, but they were all rejected by Song Xiaoyan. Knowing that they could not win him over, Xiao Zhuojun and others directly supported Xiao Yang, and Xiao Yang, the second in command of the security team, quickly rose to the top. In addition, Song Xiaoyan was too straightforward. Although he was a good person, many people in the security team chose to follow Xiao Yang. Therefore, Song Xiaoyan, the captain of the security team, was quite frustrated. Just like now, he, Song Xiaoyan, was the one in charge, but except for a few people who trusted him, the rest did not listen to him. "Song Xiaoyan, I am now arresting a spy who broke into my company. Do you want to stop him too?" Xiao Yang snorted. Song Xiaoyan glanced at Li Donglong and then nodded gently. "Spy," Song Xiaoyan was serious, but his tone was quite serious. "He is the eldest son of Mr. Li and the first heir to my Li group. You told me he is a spy." As soon as this was said, everyone in the room was shocked. Especially Fei Chaiyun, Fu Pinghui and the other four who were sitting on the Diao Tai just now, immediately became a little uneasy, and even stood up subconsciously. As for Dopeng, Ma Jiafeng and others who were sitting lazily, they also looked at Li Donglong with a little curiosity. Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment. The person in front of him, is Li Chen's son? He did hear that Li Chen had a son, but the key point is that he has never even seen Li Chen. How could he have seen Li Donglong? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 612. Li Donglong smiled lightly and tilted his head and said, "Deputy Captain Xiao Yang, I have fulfilled my duties. Are you going to arrest me now?" Xiao Yang looked embarrassed. He was just a small fry. If the handsome boy with red lips and white teeth in front of him was really the prince of the company, he would be too timid. After all, his money was given by the prince's father. Li Chen usually didn't care about the company, so they could still show off in the company with confidence, but if they really treated him as the master, they would still feel guilty. So, Xiao Yang looked at Xiao Zhuojun in a very unpromising way. Xiao Zhuojun's face was also a little uncertain, but then he turned his eyes and said, "Song Xiaoyan, you are really brave. You dare to collude with outsiders to cheat our company's people." After hearing what Xiao Zhuojun said, Fei Chaiyun and Yuan Wenkai immediately understood. "Song Xiaoyan, Song Xiaoyan, I didn't expect you to be so bold that you colluded with outsiders to deceive everyone. Xiao Yang, take these two people down first. The purpose of this statement is self-evident. No matter whether Li Donglong's identity as the prince is real or not, they have to make it true first. Anyway, Li Chen has never shown up. How can we know if your son is here? If you, Li Chen, want to find fault, we are not afraid. We treat everyone the same way, and it is also for the safety of the Li group. Can you find fault? Xiao Yang heard this, his eyes lit up, and he immediately said, Mr. Xiao is right, brothers, we are taking the salary issued by Mr. Li, and we must not let those who are interested take advantage of the loophole. The identities of these two people are to be discussed, take them down first. Now Xiao Yang is confident enough. What's more, there are 4 big guys sitting here. They are all the key partners of the Li group in the future, and Xiao Zhuojun and others have already made up their minds. No matter what the situation, there is a way to deal with it. Song Xiaoyan is a stubborn and honest man, and it is not suitable for him to talk. What's more, Xiao Zhuojun and others are all experienced. Yang Ming, who was standing aside, knew that he had to stand up. But when he was also considering the prince, Li Donglong smiled, Mr. Xiao Zhuojun, it's normal that you don't know me, but you can't not recognize our company's seal, right? Li Donglong threw the folder in his hand away, and the smile on his face gradually faded. From this moment on, I, Li Donglong, will officially take over the Li group and serve as the president. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the room changed color. The position of president is not trivial, even Yang Ming is just an executive director. Even Xiao Zhuojun and others, their faces became unnatural. Li Donglong glanced at the 4, and then snorted coldly, what? You don't accept my father's appointment? Even if they didn't know Li Donglong, they didn't dare to doubt it. No man in Rongcheng dared to really pretend to be Li Chen, let alone his son. The company's seals, shares, etc., all belonged to Li Chen alone. Now he asked his son to take office, no one could say anything, and no one had the right to object. Of course, it was okay to raise objections. But Li Chen could choose not to listen. Even if Fei Chaiyun and others were taking advantage of their seniority, they still had to do enough face work at this time. The 4 people still pretended to pick it up and looked at it, and then they smiled. Sorry, we are also doing business in a fair manner. Yes, I didn't expect that Mr. Li is Mr. Li's son. Li Donglong looked at these old-timers and smiled and said, you are all my elders, and I hope you can help me more in the future. Sure, Fei Chaiyun and others went down the stairs. But they didn't know that Li Donglong's employment was the beginning of a disaster for them. What are you still doing here? Don't you have any vision? Why don't you get out? Xiao Zhuojun blinked at Xiao Yang, who was still standing there in a daze. It's no use pretending to be deaf and dumb now. Staying here is just courting death. After all, Xiao Yang is just an uneducated and rough man, and he doesn't have these twists and turns when doing things. Naturally, he won't think so far, but he still understands what Xiao Zhuojun means, so he will retreat. Wait, Li Donglong said, and Xiao Zhuojun and others' hearts tightened immediately, looking at Li Donglong nervously. Xiao Yang and others immediately squeezed out an ugly smile. Li, Mr. Li. Li Donglong smiled and said, how long has Vice Captain Xiao been in the company? Xiao Yang was a little nervous and looked at Xiao Zhuojun a little at a loss, but the latter chose to ignore him. Xiao Yang had no choice but to bite the bullet and said, only 1 month. Oh, Li Donglong nodded and looked at Yang Ming and said, Grandpa Yang, then in this way, Deputy Captain Xiao Yang can only be considered as a probationary period, right? Yang Ming was stunned, then looked at Li Donglong in surprise and smiled, yes. Is that so? Since it is a probationary period, How did this person sit in the deputy captain's seat? Li Donglong asked with a confused look on his face. Is it your arrangement, Grandpa Yang? Xiao Yang, who was standing aside, turned pale, and Xiao Zhuojun and the other four looked even uglier. No. Was it arranged by Captain Song Ziyuan? No. That's strange. Li Donglong turned his head and looked at Xiao Zhuojun and the others. So, it was the general managers who instructed it. Xiao Zhuojun was about to admit it, but was held tightly by Yuan Wenkai and shook his head. Once he admits it, who knows what tricks this newly appointed prince will come up with. Now he can only sacrifice the pawns to save the king. Mr. Li, we don't know either. Maybe he is so domineering that he appointed himself as a deputy captain. Fu Pinghui said calmly. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yang's heart trembled. Even if he is a fool, he knows that he has been abandoned. Li Donglong smiled when he heard this, and his smile was quite bright, making Yang Ming a little dazed, as if he saw Li Chen. In that case, I'll take advantage of everyone's presence to announce something, Li Donglong then said. During the probation period, Xiao Yang was absent from work 5 times without reason and took the lead in playing cards and gambling in the security room. There are records to prove it. With such behavior, how can he be a security guard in our company? Mr. Li. Li Donglong ignored Xiao Zhuojun who spoke, and continued, so I decided to officially dismiss Xiao Yang and his people. Mr. Li. What? Mr. Xiao has objections to my handling? According to the rules, can I say half a wrong sentence? Li Donglong turned around, and the eyes that contained a smile were already cold. Xiao Zhuojun stared at the boy in front of him, and finally had to remain silent. It seems that you have no objection, Li Donglong said lightly. Xiao Yang, I will arrange for the finance department to let you receive 1 month's salary. Do you have any objection? Xiao Yang's heart was bleeding, and he looked at Li Donglong unwillingly and said, even if it is dismissal, it should be 3 months. Since it can't be kept, it must get enough benefits. Hearing this, Yang Ming couldn't help but shook his head, really courting his own death. Xiao Zhuojun and others also sighed heavily. Idiot. Li Donglong smiled and said, so, you have objections to my handling? That's fine, Song Ziyuan, notify the company's legal department to come over and retrieve all the evidence during Xiao Yang's working hours. In addition, since Mr. Xiao is not satisfied, let's go through the legal procedures. Remember to prepare a statement of claim. Xiao Yang and others must also compensate for the heavy losses caused to our company. As soon as these words came out, Xiao Yang's face turned pale. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 613. He was so scared that he quickly shook his head and said, no, 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 I have no objection to Li. Mr. Li's decision, I will leave immediately. Leave? Li Donglong's face turned cold, and he snorted, is this a place where you can come and go as you please? Song Ziyuan will take these people. Mr. Li, I was wrong, I don't want compensation. Xiao Yang was panicked, and the people who followed Xiao Yang were also panicked. The security position seems unimportant, but Li Donglong does not think that such a position must be held by his own people. Before Li Donglong came in, he had already understood the current situation of the company with Li Chen, so he made this arrangement. Although he could not directly take action against those old guys, it was not a big problem to pull out these small nails. The eyes of Song Ziyuan's people looking at Li Donglong were all shining. They followed Song Ziyuan, and they were all the same kind of people. They believed that Li Chen was Li Hoxian, not the CEOs of these companies. When Li Donglong quickly pulled out Xiao Yang and the bad apples, they were happier than anyone else. The atmosphere in the entire reception room seemed a bit heavy. Li Donglong had set them up temporarily, which made them look very ugly and embarrassed. But Li Donglong did it perfectly, which made the CEOs unable to find fault with him. Fei Che-yun glanced at Do Peng, who was smiling playfully, and the latter immediately coughed and attracted his attention. "Since your company already has a president, can we have a formal talk?" Li Donglong nodded to Yang Ming, and everyone sat down. "What are your names, elders?" "Do Peng." "Ma Jiafeng." "Yu Zimin." "Kong Yuxiang." 3 men and 1 woman, all of them are not young. From the way Li Donglong dealt with Xiao Yang just now, they had already seen that this young guy was probably not a good person. If you are really deceived by his appearance, that would be really stupid. Therefore, the 3 of them did not relax at all. "Mr. Do, Mr. Ma, Mr. Yu, Mr. Kong." Li Donglong bowed slightly. "You are all industry veterans, and I am only appointed in times of crisis. If there is any inappropriate handling in the future, I hope you will forgive me." Do Peng and the other 4 people were immediately under pressure. They also had the ability to judge whether the other party was genuine or fake. After so many years in society, they still have the ability to judge people. Anyone who says such words at the beginning should be careful, because there may be a storm coming next. Yang Ming immediately handed over a new folder from the side, which was all about the cooperation projects with the 4 major companies. Li Donglong just glanced at it and immediately said, "I have seen the previous quotations, and none of them are as high as this time. This time it has doubled. I would like to ask several seniors, what does this mean?" "Mr. Li, you also know that in today's pharmaceutical market, products are becoming more and more difficult to make, and there are many complaints. The cost of our research and development will also increase exponentially." Do Peng immediately said bitterly, "We have no choice. There are so many people in the company to support, and the market is like this, so we are also forced to adjust the price." The meaning of this sentence is, don't blame us for raising prices, everyone does it. Li Donglong nodded calmly and said, "Then are the other seniors like this?" Almost the 3 nodded. Fei Che-yun, Fu Pinghui, Yuan Wenkai, and Xiao Zhuojun, who were sitting on the side, had calm faces and sneered in their hearts. They wanted to see how capable this new president is. As long as these 4 major companies don't give in, the Li Group will only suffer. Li Donglong pondered for a moment, and just when they all thought that Li Donglong would agree, he suddenly stood up and said, "In view of the fact that the price offered by the seniors is really beyond our budget, I have seriously considered and decided to temporarily suspend cooperation with this seniors company." When this was said, even Yang Ming's face changed, not to mention Fei Che-yun and others. Do Peng and the other 4 were really stunned, and it took a long time for them to react. "Is Mr. Li serious?" "Yes," Li Donglong nodded calmly to the 4 people. "Nowadays, except for our companies, there is no one else who can take over this market." "Mr. Li, have you thought it through?" Ma Jiafeng said, "Although the price here has doubled, at least the Li Group still has something to earn. But if we all terminate the cooperation, no one in the market will take over, and the loss of the Li Group will not be just a little bit. Suffering a little loss is nothing more than earning less. But if you don't suffer this loss, the company will suffer a big loss. Loss cannot be seen from a single side." Li Donglong said, "Please go back." "Humph." Ma Jiafeng and the other 4 snorted coldly and stood up and left. "Mr. Li, since you said so today, we might as well talk it out. If Mr. Li regrets it, the next time it won't be double, but triple." Yang Ming's face was extremely ugly, but Li Donglong remained calm. "Mr. Ma, calm down, Mr. Ma. I am very disappointed with your company, and even more disappointed with your personnel arrangements." Ma Jiafeng left with a wave of his sleeves. As soon as Fei Che-yun and the other 4 left, their faces immediately fell. "Mr. Li, how can you refuse so rashly?" Yes, cooperation is negotiated. How can it be negotiated in one go? You have offended the four major companies. The company's losses may be several times higher than their offer. Li Donglong quietly watched the four people bring him overwhelming pressure, and he was not in a hurry. After the four people had spoken, Li Donglong smiled and said, "Thank you for your hard work, seniors. Go back first, Donglong will consider it carefully." It was like a punch on cotton, making them feel difficult to vent. Humph. Fei Che-yun and the other four also turned and left. After the four people left, Li Donglong laughed, and Yang Ming couldn't understand it at all. The situation was so stiff all of a sudden. What should I do next? Really not cooperating? Li Donglong slowly stood up, glanced at Yang Ming and said, "Grandpa Yang, come with me to see my dad." Yang Ming immediately nodded and followed Li Donglong silently. Obviously, the other party is just a child, but he always has the feeling of a superior when he speaks and does things. CEO's office. Li Chen was looking at the scenery outside the window, and his eyes fell on the car that had just driven out of the underground parking lot. "Dad." Li Chen pointed at the sofa, and Li Donglong immediately sat down obediently. Yang Ming was a little at a loss, and finally did not dare to sit down. Li Chen looked for a while, then turned around and said, "Uncle Yang, sit down." Yang Ming could only sit down and said, "Master, I'm sorry." "Uncle Yang, we are a family and we don't talk about different things." Li Chen waved his hand and said, "I have learned about the company's situation, and this is also my dereliction of duty." The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 614. Yang Ming's expression was slightly dull. He thought Li Chen would blame himself, but he didn't expect that Li Chen would take the blame on himself. "Master." Yang Ming hesitated to speak. "Uncle Yang, just say it if you have anything to say. You and I don't have to be so scrupulous." Li Chen handed the tea he made to Yang Ming. Feeling Li Chen's sincerity, Yang Ming became a little more courageous. "I'm afraid there will be many obstacles for the young master to take over the company." Yang Ming spoke boldly, "Moreover, our company is not completely stable yet. Once those old guys take the lead in making small moves, it will be impossible to guard against it. What's more, Fei Che-yun and Fu Pinghui have long been colluding with Dou Peng and Ma Jiafeng. It's not that I don't know many things, but I just can't deal with them. After all, if I touch them, the company will be seriously injured. The remaining projects all need to be connected with the four major companies. Once something goes wrong, the company will suffer heavy losses." Yang Ming actually said it very tactfully. The young master can airborne, but not now. The young master can also refuse to cooperate, but not now. Now, as soon as the young master arrived, he trapped the four guys Fei Che-yun and rejected the four guys Dou Peng without giving any face. This pushed the Li Group into the fire pit. The Li Group is now prosperous, but it has a lot of problems. After all, it has absorbed all the businesses of the Li family and the four major families. It is impossible to complete the integration in less than a month. This is unrealistic and impossible. When Li Chen heard this, he just smiled and motioned to Yang Ming to drink tea first. The loyalty of this old man who has accompanied the Li family all his life is undoubtedly trustworthy. But because I am older, I lose some of my determination to make progress. Li Chen drank tea with a smile, looked at Li Donglong and said, "Now that you are the president of the company, please tell me your next plan." Yang Ming looked at Li Donglong with some disbelief. To be honest, this young master was too young. He is so young that people can't help but doubt him at first glance. Li Donglong nodded when he heard this and took out several folders from the side. "Grandpa Yang, which companies are at the top of the domestic pharmaceutical market today?" Li Donglong asked. "Of course it's led by the Gu family in Zhongcheng and others. There are almost all industry giants there." Yang Ming knew very well and said immediately. What is the level of the companies of Dopeng, Ma Jiafeng, and others in China? Yang Ming frowned slightly and said, it can only be considered first class at best. Speaking of which, he added, even if it's only first class, we can't compare. Li Donglong nodded without refuting, so, are there many similar companies under them? Yang Ming was a little confused, but soon realized, the young master is right, but the young master may not be aware that the company represented by Dopeng and the other two people is actually inextricably linked to the Gu family in Zhongcheng. Otherwise, they might not dare to be so blatant. Li Donglong nodded with a smile. He also understood this information. This time it was Yang Ming's turn to be confused again. So Grandpa Yang, do you think our company's market is big or small? When Yang Ming heard this, he frowned and said, what do you mean, young master, that we want to cooperate with those small and medium-sized enterprises? Li Donglong was not in a hurry to answer this question, while Li Chen was leaning on the sofa and concentrating on drinking tea. Dad doesn't have many advantages, but there is one thing that Li Donglong appreciates very much, that is, he has a big heart and is trustworthy when employing people. He can keep his hands off anything and completely delegate power. This creates a huge sense of trust. Just like now, Li Chen has no intention of interfering at all. If he asked Li Donglong to come, he would never reach out. Li Donglong put the 4 documents on the table and said with a smile, the shopping mall is like a battlefield. A war without gunpowder smoke may be the most cruel. These 4 companies are in an extremely embarrassing situation. They have the ability to do good things, but they have been suppressed by Dopeng and others' companies. Secondly, these companies don't want to raise funds, let alone be manipulated by others, which is even more difficult to do in the market. I don't object to big fish eating small fish, but blindly killing all small and medium-sized enterprises is not advisable to me. The market should be changeable and dynamically competitive. Dopeng and others are determined that our Li Group will have to suffer the loss of being dumb, and then continue to drink blood from the Li Group. Can't we choose the rest? Yang Ming's eyes widened. He felt that the young master in front of him was so crazy. Not to mention the Gu family, which is inextricably linked to Dopeng's company, just talk about Dopeng's company, which is not something ordinary companies can do. Although cooperation with small and medium-sized enterprises is one way to go, the risks are too great. Once small and medium-sized enterprises overturn, the Li Group may suffer even more losses. By then, these small and medium-sized enterprises may all be annexed. At that time, the Li Group will really be at the mercy of others. Li Donglong seemed to have seen what Yang Ming was thinking. He pointed at the investigation data and said, Grandpa Yang, why don't you take a closer look? They are all smart people, so they can understand everything naturally. Yang Ming immediately understood. When he picked up the investigation materials, his eyes immediately changed. It's so detailed, even the assessment of industry capabilities is rare. This kind of information cannot be found by the Li Group at present. The more Yang Ming looked at it, the more frightened he became. Although these small and medium-sized enterprises are small, their strength is not weak at all. The key is that every time they face a choice, they are particularly decisive and accurate. In other words, what these small and medium-sized enterprises lack is just an opportunity. Once there is a suitable opportunity, they will definitely soar to the sky. So, what the young master means is that we should take a unique approach and choose these small and medium-sized enterprises, promote each other, and catch them off guard. Yang Ming looked at it for a long time before putting down the document. That's right, Li Donglong said. Then the company. Yang Ming hesitated. Even so, there would be no small obstacles. Li Donglong smiled faintly, no hurry. Since Li Donglong said so, he naturally couldn't say anything else. Grandpa Yang, make preparations tomorrow and let everyone in the company stay in the company. I will have something to announce at that time, Li Donglong said again. Okay. Li Donglong turned around and said, Dad, I've got it done here. Li Chen put down his teacup, stood up and said with a smile, Uncle Yang has worked hard, then we'll go back first. Yang Ming stood up to see him off, but he was still worried. Fei Che-yun and the other four guys won't cause any trouble. After Li Chen took Li Donglong to the parking lot, he went straight to the office building where Zhao Hualiang was. Goose had already started marketing and publicity, and Zhao Hualiang had also prepared, but because he was waiting for Li Chen and Murong Shui, he fell behind. Goose, which was one step ahead, must have been able to grab enough of the top. Soon, Li Chen arrived at the office building where Zhao Hualiang was, and Zhao Yingzi had been waiting for a long time. Sister Yingzi, Li Donglong shouted with a smile, copying dictionaries every day is still useful. Cool. Zhao Yingzi immediately smiled and took Li Chen and his son upstairs. The entire office building was still brightly lit. Zhao Hualiang was sitting on the sofa. When he saw Li Chen and Li Donglong coming in, he immediately stuffed the food and fruits he had bought to Li Donglong. Li Donglong looked at Zhao Hualiang with a strange expression, do you think I'm Xiao Wu? Thank you. Zhao Hualiang immediately smiled and pulled Li Chen to sit down. In front of him was a tablet, which was playing news about Goose. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 615. Li Donglong had just finished eating something when he found that Zhao Yingzi handed him another strawberry. After finishing the strawberry, Zhao Yingzi peeled another apple for him. Li Donglong suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. He looked at Zhao Yingzi with some embarrassment and said, Sister Yingzi, I can't eat any more. Zhao Yingzi looked at Li Donglong's handsome little face in astonishment and said, can't you eat it without Xiao Wu? Hearing this, Li Donglong's face darkened. Do you think everyone is my stupid sister? Zhao Yingzi smiled and started eating by herself. Li Donglong breathed a sigh of relief. After Zhao Hualiang and Li Chen watched the video, they asked, what is Uncle Zhao's plan? We can't delay it any longer. If we delay it any longer, it will be very detrimental to us, Zhao Hualiang suggested seriously. This is what Mr. Gu likes to play the most. If you are like him, as long as he makes the first move, you will often suffer big losses. Gu is an expert in controlling public opinion. Li Chen said, Shui is willing to speak for her. Hearing this, Zhao Hualiang was overjoyed and said, that's great, let's start shooting tomorrow. Okay, Li Chen thought for a while and nodded in agreement. The two sat together and conducted several drills on possible problems that might arise this time. There's probably only so much you can worry about. Plans can never keep up with changes. Afterwards, Li Chen took Li Donglong home directly. Cauldron. Li Biwu with disheveled hair stood at the door, his big eyes smiling like crescent moons, trying to scare Li Donglong. Li Donglong rolled his eyes and was blocked by his stupid sister just as he was about to enter. Tuan Tuan had already rushed out, howling at Li Donglong. What are you doing? Li Donglong asked. Haha, De Guo doesn't take Xiao Wu with him when he goes out to play, so he ignores you. As he said this, Li Biwu put his hands on his hips and huffed angrily, but there was nothing written on his face, come and comfort me. After all, it was Li Donglong who brought him up. How could he not know what the stupid sister was thinking? Tuan Tuan, a chubby little tiger, bit his pants, moaning and wanting him to hug him. Li Donglong was helpless. He found that Xiao Feng and Xiaofei both looked like they were watching a show, and he was speechless. Okay, I'm sorry. Li Donglong squatted down and picked up his stupid sister who was getting heavier and heavier. We. Li Biwu immediately smiled and put his face against Li Donglong's head. De Guo, do you like Xiao Wu? Like. Then do you like sister? Like. Then do you like sister more than Xiao Wu? Seeing Li Donglong holding Tuan Tuan with one hand again, Li Biwu pouted and pointed Li Donglong's handsome face towards him. Cauldron, hurry up. Ho ho, Tuan Tuan saw Li Bei dancing and Li Donglong, so they let out a cute tiger roar. Li Biwu grabbed Tuan Chuan's little head and hummed, Cerebellar X, if you continue to be cruel to me, I will kill you. I don't know if Tuan Tuan is really spiritual, or if he saw the strength of Li Biwu, the king of rice cooks. He was really scared at this time. Li Donglong sat speechlessly next to Murong Shui and said, your daughter is so domineering, don't you care? Murong Shui, who was leaning on the sofa and applying a facial mask, almost collapsed and said, this is your sister, you can take care of it yourself. Well, my mother doesn't care about anything at home anymore. Cauldron. Cauldron. Being annoyed by the stupid sister, Li Donglong could only say, of course I like Xiao Wu more. Yeah. When Li Biwu heard this, he immediately slid off Li Donglong's legs happily, stood on the carpet and swung his butt happily, and then rushed towards Li Nanfei. Sangguo, I win. Li Nanfei curled his lips and handed the lollipop in his arms to Li Biwu, here you go. We. Li Biwu happily went to eat some candy. Li Donglong narrowed his eyes, looked at Li Nanfei who was holding an Jing Yuan and said, bet. Brother, Li Zifeng, who was missing his teeth, came over and said, Xiaofi, I said that you would never say these things. He also said that you are the best liar in the family. Li Donglong snorted coldly, his eyes exuding a dangerous light. Li Nanfei suddenly became anxious. Why did the second sister still complain? Brother, don't listen to the second sister's nonsense, I didn't. Li Nanfei felt guilty. In terms of means, he is really inferior to his elder brother. Li Donglong glanced at Li Nanfei, then at Daodu and said, give me the round. Li Nanfei immediately hugged quiet Yuan warily, don't be so stingy. Oh? Am I stingy now? Li Donglong sneered, then give me Yuan. Dad, Li Nanfei looked at Li Nanfei who had just entered the door for help, big brother is bullying me. Huh? What? It's so windy that I can't hear you. Honey, come on, let's see what I brought you. Li Chen ignored his youngest son's plea for help and turned to Murong Sui. When Murong Shui heard this, her eyes lit up, did you buy it? Li Biwu, who was sitting on the carpet next to Daodu, immediately looked straight at the food in Li Chen's hand. She licked the saliva from the corner of her mouth and stood up. Li Zifeng and Li Nanfei also smelled the strong fragrance, and their stomachs rumbled. Daddy, Li Biwu stood up, his eyes gleaming. Li Chen placed the things in front of Murong Shui and said, here, this is your favorite food. Dad, Li Nanfei also came over, this was so delicious. Li Zifeng stood on tiptoes and saw all the late-night snacks. Li Chen brought it to Murong Shui's mouth. After watching Murong Shui eat it, he asked, is it delicious? Gilug. Gilug. Yeah, it's delicious. Murong Shui said a little embarrassedly, you, just buy it for me. Yeah, Li Chen looked at Murong Shui with eyes full of love and said, I bought it specifically for you. That. Murong Shui felt a little embarrassed when she looked at the three children who were almost drooling. It's okay, don't worry about them, Li Chen comforted. Li Zifeng, Sigma, / A. Li Nanfei. Li Biwu. Papa. Li Biwu looked at Li Chen with tears in his eyes, don't you love Xiao Wu anymore? Wouldn't this be bad? Murong Shui was very ashamed. After all, it was a bit cruel not to give the three children something to eat late at night. It's indeed not good. Li Chen pointed at Li Nanfei and said, you see that the boy's face has become fatter, and Xiaofeng has lost his teeth. Eat less, Xiao, he has become so fat recently that he can hardly hold him. When Murong Shui heard this, she couldn't help but look at the three children and said, then let's go to the room to eat. Okay. Li Chen immediately took the food and walked to the room. Li Biwu. Watching Papa Mama enter the house, Li Biwu looked at the lollipop in his hand and instantly felt that it didn't smell good. Big pot, Li Biwu looked at Li Donglong who was playing with his cerebellar axe with tears in his eyes. Daddy, don't you love me anymore? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 616. Li Donglong held his silly sister who was sobbing in his arms, and he didn't know how to comfort her. He really didn't expect that his father and mother could be so affectionate. After all, the four of us are your children. It's okay that you eat supper in the middle of the night, but you actually do it in front of Xiao, Xiaofeng, and Xiaofei. This is simply cruel. Woo woo. Li Biwu cried so sadly. Daddy liked her so much before. She could eat anything delicious, but now, she can't eat it anymore. He only feeds mommy. Don't cry, don't cry. Li Donglong was very glad that Zhao Yingzi had fed him a lot of food before, otherwise he would be greedy to death. The key is that mom actually had the heart to do it, and Li Donglong expressed his incomprehension. Li Zifeng and Li Nanfei stared blankly at Li Chen and Murong Shui's room, and they still didn't come back to their senses. Xiaofeng, Xiaofei, stop looking, Li Donglong shouted, you can't eat even if you look. The two siblings sighed and walked to Li Donglong and sat down. Li Donglong looked at the three brothers and sisters who were doubting their lives and sighed. Don't you understand yet? Li Donglong said. Li Zifeng, Li Nanfei, and Li Biwu, who was crying and sad, also raised their heads and looked at Li Donglong in confusion. When mom is not around, we are his favorites, Li Donglong sighed, but when our mom is around, we are light bulbs. You are talking nonsense. Li Biwu pouted, she still didn't believe it. Li Zifeng and Li Nanfei's eyes dimmed instantly, they noticed it. Dad's treasure is always mom, not us. Thinking of this, the two siblings became even sadder. Seeing that the stupid sister still didn't believe it, Li Donglong was helpless. Brother knows that the truth is cruel, but you have to accept it? Li Donglong couldn't believe it. If dad and mom stayed together in the future, would there be no place for the four of them at home? Xiao, don't worry, your brother and sister will love you in the future, Li Nanfei comforted. Damn dad, forget your children when he saw a woman. The four brothers sat on the sofa together, staring at the door of the room with resentful eyes. When mom and dad come out, let's pretend to be angry, Li Nanfei suggested, let them realize that they have made a big mistake. That's right, Li Zifeng clenched his fists. Li Donglong thought about it and nodded. It's not good for dad to only have mom in his eyes. Then wait for Xiao to tell mom and dad to know the consequences of angering us, Li Donglong poked his stupid sister. Okay, Li Biwu clenched her fists fiercely. They are coming out, Li Donglong whispered, and they heard the door open. When Li Chen accompanied Murong Shui out of the room, he found that something was wrong in the living room. Four pairs of dim eyes were firmly fixed on him. Hey, Xiao, why are you crying? Humph, Li Biwu turned his head away, not wanting to pay attention to the stinky daddy. Murong Shui also looked at the four little ones at home with a confused look on her face. Is this a bit like a big alliance of common hatred and enemies? Xiao, what's wrong with you? I don't like mommy anymore, Li Biwu pouted. Murong Shui came over and looked at the four little ones and said, what's wrong? Tell mommy. I don't want to, Li Biwu leaned in Li Donglong's arms, the big pot will love me in the future. Murong Shui didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What happened? Did you provoke them? No, Li Chen spread his hands, come on, I've learned a massage recently. You go sit down and soak your feet first, and I'll give you a massage. Really? Murong Shui's eyes were full of little stars, and she said, then, try it. You must try it. Don't worry about my skills, Li Chen patted his chest and said. Li Donglong and the other three could only watch Li Chen and Murongxiu go to soak their feet and massage. As for their plan, it seemed to be useless. Li Nanfei looked at Li Donglong. "Brother, you are the smartest, can you analyze it?" Li Donglong scratched his head. He didn't know how to do this question. "How about, Xiaofeng analyze it?" Li Zifeng sighed. "In Dad's eyes, except for Mom, we are all redundant." "Wow." Li Biwa cried again. She didn't want to be redundant. Bathroom. Murongxiu was very comfortable with Li Chen's massage, and her whole body was greatly relaxed. "Why do I hear Xiao Wu crying?" Li Chen concentrated on massaging and said, "No, you must have heard it wrong." "No, I really, you feel a little pain, am I not feeling well?" "It should be, the acupuncture points of the human body can reflect the good or bad function of the body, come on, I will continue to press for you." Murong Shui wanted to scream out in comfort, but couldn't help but said, "Are we really not going to care about them?" Li Chen was stunned for a moment and said, "Why do we care about them at this time of night? They are still young." "Not young anymore," Li Chen said, "it's time to let them go." "So what you mean is, we have never been together properly, so let's have a relationship and do what we should do." "Hate," Murong Shui blushed, "this is really not good." "Very good," Li Chen said, "after we finish dealing with things here, we will leave them to my grandfather." Murongxiu was both happy and guilty. After all, it seemed cruel to abandon the four children all at once. But she felt very sorry when she thought that she had not gone through the process of dating and preparing for marriage with Li Chen. If she really abandoned the four little ones, it would be good. Thinking of this, Murongxiu felt relieved. After soaking their feet and massaging, they went back to the room. Murongxiu wanted to control them, but Li Chen meant to let them go. The children are so old now, there is no need to control them all the time, they should learn to be independent. Li Chen lay on the bed, gently hugged Murongxiu who was leaning on his chest, and said, "Let's go to shoot the endorsement of Gigi tomorrow." "Okay." Murongxiu responded sweetly. "After the shooting is completed, we will go to get the marriage certificate," Li Chen said softly. Murong Shui's heartbeat accelerated. "Then, take Xiao Wu and the others." Li Chen thought about it and hesitated, "Or, not. Hey, wouldn't that be bad?" "No," Li Chen said, "let's go to our own world of two, and leave Xiao Wu to Xiao Feng and Xiao Fei. It's time for them to take care of this family." "Okay. Go to bed." Li Chen turned off the lights. Living room. Li Donglong and Li Nanfei looked at each other. "So, Dad really doesn't want us anymore," Li Nanfei said in surprise. Li Donglong said that he really didn't know how to answer this question. He didn't stick to anyone in Murong's house, and he had only been here for a short time. He thought Li Chen was okay like this. But the three little ones were not okay. They were obviously sticking to their father and mother. So, now no one is urging us to take a bath and brush our teeth, and no one is urging us to go to bed. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 617. Obviously it should be a very happy thing to have no one to care about you, but why can't you be happy? Come on, get ready to wash up and get some sleep. As the eldest brother, Li Donglong can only shoulder this responsibility. For the first time, the four brothers and sisters felt that life was so boring. Li Biwu hugged Li Zifeng and lay on the bed, lost in thought. Not to mention that Xiao Wu couldn't adapt to it, even she was a little uncomfortable with it. Does Dad really not care about himself? "Sister," Li Biwu said in a tearful tone, "Daddy, don't you like Xiao Wu?" "Nonsense," Li Zifeng comforted, "my sister is here." "Yeah," Li Biwu leaned against Li Zifeng and fell asleep after a while. "Brother, did Dad do this on purpose?" Li Nanfei was lying on his side. Li Donglong's sleeping posture is quite upright. Unlucky island. I always feel that dad did it on purpose, so that he doesn't have to avoid us and can still have sex with mom. Li Donglong glanced at his younger brother and said, "You are not old and you are very thoughtful." He, good at observation, Li Nanfei whispered, "The more dad wants to leave us and be alone with mom, the less we can let him succeed." Li Donglong was stunned. What logic is this? But what you said makes sense, Li Donglong then thought. I always feel that my father has tricked me recently. Eh? Tell me quickly. I can't tell where I was tricked. I feel like I've been on a pirate ship. Tisk, tisk, dad really does whatever it takes to be with mom. Li Nanfei sighed, I won't let him succeed. Li Donglong made a cheering gesture and started to sleep. Li Group, all major groups of the company. How is this going? Airborne CEO. No, I just don't understand. It's okay to airborne the president. Is it really not a joke to let a kid take charge of the company? This should be the most outrageous appointment and operation I have ever seen in my career, right? He is worthy of being the #1 dude in Chengdu back then. He really just relies on his brain to do things. I'm just curious, what can a kid who is not even 10 years old know? If you ask me, Mr. Fei is almost as good as the president of the company. Mr. Fu can do it too. That's right, Mr. Yuan and Mr. Xiao are all capable people. Isn't it better than arranging a child to cause mischief? This incident caused a great sensation. The four bosses expressed their dissatisfaction in the group. Even those who usually kept silent and belonged to the neutral group felt that Li Chen was crazy at this moment. You have no experience in managing a company, so leave it to someone who is capable. Everyone follows you to make a living, but you end up messing around. Isn't this child's play? That night, events continued to unfold. Early morning. Li Donglong got up early, rinsed his mouth and brushed his teeth without being reminded, and then took care of his hair seriously. Today, he has to go to the Li group to officially take up a position. Thinking of his younger brothers and sisters who hadn't gotten up yet, he walked gently to Li Chen and Murong Shue's room. Boom. Dad. Li Donglong waited for a few seconds, but no one responded. Knocked a few more times, but still no one responded. Li Donglong hesitated for a moment, then opened the door and saw that the quilt cover on the bed was folded neatly. As for the room, there was no one there. Li Donglong's face suddenly turned dark. Damn it, his father ran away with his mother. What to do? I have to go to the company to handle things. Can Xiaofei and Xiaofeng take good care of Xiao? For the first time, Li Donglong felt a headache and helpless. After thinking about it, he woke up Li Nanfei. Xiaofei, wake up. Brother, Li Nanfei opened his confused eyes and said, what's wrong? Dad took mom and ran away. What? Li Nanfei lost all sleep in an instant. Run away? Yes, Li Donglong said, you are the only man in the family, you have to take care of your sister and your sister. What about big brother? I have to go to work. I'll wipe it. Li Nanfei suddenly trembled, isn't dad too insidious? He pushed you away and left us at home, while he took mom away in style. Well, although I think it's not nice for you to say that about him, I feel very happy when I hear it. Li Donglong said, come on, I'm counting on you in the house. Brother, I can't handle it. Come on, you can do it. Li Donglong turned around and left. Watching his elder brother go downstairs and away, Li Nanfei looked hopeless. Damn dad, you must have done this on purpose. Murong Shui has never been to Chengdu, especially the park in the early morning, which is very quiet. In the summer park, flowers are in full bloom, but most of them are elderly people. They cuddled with each other, and some held hands while walking in the jungle, which was very pleasant. Murong Shui held Li Chen's big hand and felt the warmth coming from the palm of her hand, feeling very satisfied. We, it's time to go back, Murong Shui said. Walk a little more. It's time to cry when they can't find us later. Murong Shui shook her head. Li Chen smiled and said, okay, but at most we can just make breakfast for them. Murong Shui hit Li Chen but did not object. It's a rare world for two people, and it's really a bit unsightly to have a few little ones. Li Group. As the first local group, it definitely has a lot of cutting-edge technology and talents. Especially after what happened yesterday, the entire Li Group knew about it. As for Executive Director Yang Ming, he seemed to have seen nothing, neither asking nor blaming. So, even this morning, the employees who came to work were discussing this matter. Since the president has been airborne, can we see the president today? No one takes the new president seriously. Office building. 8th floor. This is where all the senior executives of the Li Group gather. There are more than a dozen general managers, big and small, each with their own duties, and they can't interfere with each other. As for the deputy managers and supervisors under the general manager, there are even more. Everyone is gathered together, and they all know each other more or less. Do you think Mr. Li did this on purpose? Or is he trying to train his son? Come on, he is a playboy, how can he train his son? I think he probably wants his son to come here to play, since the president doesn't need to work anyway. Everyone laughed when they heard this. The Li family is really lucky, and I don't know what kind of luck it is. Even if Li Hoxian died, Li Chen could pick him up again. Yes, in the eyes of these people, the failure of the four major families was inexplicable. As for Li Chen, he was just lucky. The incident was widely spread that day, but there were very few people who actually experienced it. The impression they had of Li Chen was still in the past. I think our company's chairman is a bit stupid, otherwise why would he let Yang Ming be the executive director? And why would he let his son be the president? That's right. Isn't that a hole in his brain? I also heard that several CEOs who worked hard for our company were so angry that they vomited blood yesterday. What happened? Boss Fei and his team worked hard for the Li Group and finally managed to stabilize the people of the four major companies. As a result, when the new president came yesterday, he offended the people of the four major companies and ruined the matter. Do you think Boss Fei and his team are wronged? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 618. Office Area. Everyone is talking about it. What's more, some people publicly stated that they would unite with the major supervisors, deputy general managers, and general managers to demand the removal of the president's position. I really don't know what this president can do. Ahem. At this time, Fei Chaiyun and four others had already walked in. The busy office slowly calmed down a bit. Mr. Fei, I heard that the little CEO was very disrespectful to you yesterday. Yes, doesn't the little president know that you are the pillars of the company? If you ask me, the president of the company should be selected from among you. Many people expressed their anger and dissatisfaction. Fei Chaiyun, Fu Pinghui, Yuan Wenkai, and Xiao Zhuojun couldn't help but look a little better. They still liked the feeling of being supported and recognized by others. Fei Chaiyun deliberately said with a straight face, okay, why are you making noise? This company is not mine. Everyone should work quickly. Director Li has his own reasons for how to arrange things, Fu Pinghui also said angrily, otherwise, why are we part-time workers and he is the boss? Haha. There was a burst of sarcasm in the office. Qi Changqing, who made his fortune by flattering others, even sneered, there is a truth to it, but I just got lucky and picked up a big company. The four major families are unlucky. I don't know who I provoked to end up like this field. Who in Chengdu doesn't know what kind of character Li Chen is? Is he worthy of being the boss? If he doesn't deserve it? Are you worthy? A sudden sound made the entire office area extremely quiet. Li Donglong, who had a very upright figure, walked in with a cold expression. Even though he was just a little adult, his aura was extremely strong. His sharp eyes fell on Qi Changqing. Behind Li Donglong, Yang Ming, and Shen Jian followed. No one in the entire office hall expected that this airborne young president would actually arrive at this moment. Even Fei Che-yun and others were a little embarrassed. They talked about people behind their backs and got hit. Qi Changqing and others also looked at Li Donglong curiously. Many of them had seen Li Chen's photos. I couldn't help but marvel that the father and son really looked like they were carved from the same mold. Li Donglong walked in with calm steps. When his dark eyes looked around, everyone felt a strong sense of oppression. Li Donglong pointed at Qi Changqing and said, "What's your name?" Qi Changqing had a strange look on his face, and was a little unhappy when he saw Li Donglong pointing at him. He really deserves to be called Li Chen's son, and he really has no education at all. "Deaf," Li Donglong said in a cold voice. "My name is." "I'm no longer interested in knowing who you are," Li Donglong said coldly. "Grandpa Yang, check this person out. If there is a problem, deal with it in accordance with the law. If there is no problem, let him get out." As soon as these words came out, the expressions of everyone in the office suddenly changed. Will the prince show off his power when he takes office? Qi Changqing was a little panicked now and quickly looked at Fei Che-yun. Fei Che-yun and other old people also looked displeased. The prince slapped him in the face like this when he arrived, which was simply not giving them face. "Director Li. What advice does Mr. Fei have?" Li Donglong stared at Fei Che-yun and asked with great pressure on the old man. Fei Che-yun frowned instinctively. For some reason, he felt uneasy. Qi Changqing just made a few jokes. "Your mother is the bath lady." Presumptuous. When Fei Che-yun heard this, he suddenly became furious. No matter how well trained he is, he can't hold back. Li Donglong looked sarcastic. "Mr. Fei, don't encourage others to do good without suffering others' suffering." Fei Che-yun looked ugly. "I just made a casual joke," and Mr. Fei got very angry. "What? This person works in my father's company and insulted my father in public. What's wrong with me standing up?" As Li Donglong spoke, his tone became more and more serious. At this moment, he exuded a fierce aura. "One by one, if you don't say that I want you to eat the emperor's salary and be loyal to the emperor, at least you have some moral integrity, right?" Li Donglong looked around, and everyone who was oppressed did not dare to look at him. "Grandpa Yang. Check for me. Every one of them is counted today. I have checked them all clearly. I would like to see how many of them are eating corpses here? And how many of them are just taking money and not doing any real work?" At this moment, Li Donglong was completely angry, like a mad lion. Even the elderly who have been in the workplace for many years feel the oppression before the storm at this moment. Li Donglong dragged a chair and sat at the door. "Today is my first day at work. My father handed over the company to me. I really want to be healthy. Is this my Li family's company or yours?" Behind Yang Ming, a large number of inspectors came. At this moment, the entire office was not calm. They never thought that the prince would make such a terrifying move on his first day of official work here. The expressions of countless people have changed. They were all temporarily recruited. Yang Ming didn't care about it before and couldn't care about it. Li Chen really gave him too many things. It's not that there are no clean people in the workplace, it's just that there are too few. If we really want to investigate, how many of them are innocent? The expressions of Fei Che-yun, Fu Pinghui, and others changed again and again. If they really wanted to go to war in such a big way, everyone would be in danger. "Director Li." Xiao Zhuojun stood up and said, "Is this matter a bit serious?" "Qi Changqing, you are gossiping in public, your words are disrespectful to Director Li's father, and you still haven't apologized." Qi Changqing was already stunned. Hearing Xiao Zhuozhen's reminder, he quickly stood up and apologized. I'm sorry, Mr. Li, I was speaking out. Qi Changqing bent down and apologized repeatedly, but Li Donglong, who was sitting on the chair, looked at them with an extremely joking look. Do you think that because I am young, I don't understand anything? Li Donglong stared at Xiao Zhuozhen with playful eyes, or do you think that because I am young, I can talk easily? Everyone's expressions darkened again. As Murong Hung's, the successor personally trained by Lao Yingcoin, if he can't handle this storm, then he would be really sorry for the Murong family's training. Countless people behind Yang Ming are using various means to investigate, and the results are naturally fast. Soon, Yang Ming took a lot of information and handed it to Li Donglong. Qi Changqing. Li Donglong sneered, I won't talk about how you worked under the four major families before. I will just talk about the mistakes you made in the Li family this month. I can pick out more than 10 for you here. He took advantage of his position to make as much as 50,000 to 60,000 yuan, secretly and openly. Why is it so easy for me, Mr. Li, to make money? Qi Changqing's face suddenly turned pale, and his legs weakened with fear. The entire office is in danger. Take him down, Li Donglong said coldly, prosecute those who deserve to be prosecuted, and jail those who deserve to be jailed. Director Li, I was wrong. People like Qi Changqing just like to do flashy things. They are not really courageous, but they are very greedy. Now that I heard that Li Donglong wanted to hold him accountable, he immediately panicked. They never thought that this prince would be so ruthless. If he had known that he would encounter something like this, even if he were beaten to death, he would not have flattered him. Director Li. Fei Chaiyun and others also panicked, checking one person or a group of people. If Li Donglong wants to be held accountable, no one can escape. It doesn't matter if I lose my job, I'm just afraid that I will be jailed. Wang Cheng, Lu Fang, Luo Yonglin. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 619. Li Donglong ignored the words of Fei Chaiyun and others and talked about famous names one by one. The entire office area is like a shura field, and the low atmospheric pressure can make people despair. Everyone whose name is read, please come out. At the door, the office staff has been waiting for a long time. The originally cheerful atmosphere of complaining about Li Chen and Li Donglong was replaced by crying and pleading. Even Fei Chaiyun and others can't stop him at this moment. I could only watch as people were taken away one after another. The huge office was half empty in an instant. Li Donglong glanced at the time on his watch and locked his eyes on the four bosses, making their scalps tingle. Li Donglong touched his nose and said with a smile, the four bosses are also very old and have reached the age to retire. It is better to retire early. There was silence in the entire office. Fei Chaiyun and others' faces were ashen. Is this your ultimatum? Li Donglong raised the folder in his hand towards them, and the meaning was self-evident. If you want to leave with dignity, then leave voluntarily. If you don't want to, then I, Li Donglong, will help you. Pick one of two. At this time, Li Donglong made everyone finally realize one thing clearly, that is, the prince's methods may not be available to even ordinary adults. On the first day of airborne landing, you are eliminated in such a way that you have almost no time to think about your retreat, and you don't even have room to counterattack. None of the people who were taken away just now were wrongly accused. But some people also have problems, but Li Donglong did not move. If you take a closer look, you can see that what Li Donglong moved belonged to their four major factions, and almost none of them were left. Fei Chaiyun and the four others instantly felt extremely old, and they felt even more uncomfortable being stared at by Li Donglong. After a long time, Yuan Wenkai came out first and said, Yuan is old and has long thought of resigning. Since Director Li is so considerate of me, I will submit my resignation today. Hearing this, Li Donglong suddenly laughed, changing his previous indifference. Thank you to the elders for their dedication to our company, Li Donglong said with a smile, but did not get up. Grandpa Yang, give them approval. Yes, Yang Ming didn't say a word the whole time. At this moment, he felt deeply guilty. Firstly, it was because he, like this group of people, despised Li Donglong excessively. Secondly, I feel guilty that I didn't manage the company well and caused this group of people to become a mess. Fei Chaiyun, Fu Pinghui, Yuan Wenkai and Xiao Zhuojun submitted their resignations, and the rest of the people could only submit their resignations one after another. There really aren't many left. This time it will definitely cause serious problems for the Li Group and even affect its operation. By the time everything was done, it was already noon. Li Donglong said to Shen Jian, Grandpa Shen, arrange for those high-tech talents to conduct a unified inventory of computers and other office equipment. Yes. Also, let everyone know why these people left their jobs. Yes. Grandpa Yang, prepare according to the plan I just made. Hire talents from all over the country and select the best. All benefits will be increased by 5 percentage points for me. Yes. Li Donglong passed down the decrees in an orderly manner. Damn, bastard. In the tea art room, Fei Chaiyun slammed the teacup in his hand to the ground in anger. Sitting opposite were Dopeng, Ma Jiafeng, Yu Zimin, and Kong Yuxiang. Mr. Fei, calm down, Dopeng said. The matter has come to this, we have to think of a countermeasure, Fu Pinghui said. I didn't expect Li Chen's son to be so iron-blooded. Looking back now, I still find it unbelievable. Who would rob the family on the first day they take office? They thought that even if Li Chen really wanted to clean up the company, he would take his time. Now Li Donglong really punched the old master to death. Now, they have been kicked out without any preparation. If you are out of the game, it will be a bit difficult to handle what Director Gu told you. Yu Zimin picked up the teacup and said calmly. After hearing this, Fei Chao, Yun Yuan and Wenkai, who were originally depressed, became even more depressed. Don't worry, we will definitely complete the mission, Xiao Zhuojun said with a gloomy face. I don't believe I can't even subdue a mere child. Although we have taken the initiative to resign, we are not without backup plans, Fu Pinghui said. Oh, Kong Yuxiang said in surprise, are you really prepared? This is natural. A look of pride appeared on Fu Pinghui's face. We are equipped with a lot of good things on the company's computers. As for the data in it, we can extract it now. As soon as these words came out, the eyes of Dopeng and the others suddenly lit up. Fu Pinghui proudly took out a strange device, shook it, and inserted it into his mobile phone. You can extract everything you prepared right away, and they won't notice anything. As expected of Mr. Fu, Kong Yuxiang immediately smiled and said, in this case, Mr. Li will. Diddy. Suddenly, an alarm sounded from Fu Pinghui's cell phone. Fu Pinghui was stunned for a moment, then opened his phone and exclaimed, This is impossible. What's going on? Kong Yuxiang and the 4 others were startled. The invasion can't be done, it's gone, Fu Pinghui said angrily. The alarm was also triggered. Waste, Kong Yuxiang heard this and immediately cursed, we can't stay here, leave now. Dopeng and the other 4 wanted to beat Fu Pinghui and the others to death. Bosto. Dopeng didn't want to pay any attention to them, he just wanted to evacuate here quickly. These 4 idiots are completely finished. Because they have heard the sirens, if nothing unexpected happens, these 4 guys will also go in. They only met Li Donglong once, but now they are extremely alert. This young man is not ordinary. Fei Chaiyun, Yuan Wenkai and Xiao Zhuojun sat on the ground with despair on their faces. They looked at the people who gathered from all directions and knew that this time they were really screwed. Li Donglong calculated them to death, leaving no room for them. On this day, there was a big earthquake in Chengdu. Hundreds of people from the Li group were arrested, all of whom were illegal and violated the rules and regulations and were sent to prison. The Li group also had a major change of blood, just when everyone thought that the Li group could not bear this huge loss of personnel. A high-paying job opening for Li group instantly appeared on major websites. Originally, Li Chen's salary was frighteningly high. Rongcheng was at most a second-tier city, but Li group's salary was higher than that of first-tier cities. Now Li Donglong has raised it by another 5 percentage points, which is enough to attract countless talents. Not to mention, Li Group has also offered a series of preferential policies, including settlement, housing subsidies, etc. It can be said that at noon that day, the resume delivery mailbox of Li Group had already exploded. As for the troubles facing Li Group now, this is not a difficult task for Li Donglong. Because after solving the crisis hidden in Li Group, he has already led people to those small and medium-sized enterprises with good strength. Li Donglong is confident and capable of winning the cooperation. As for the 4 major companies, they will stay aside and wait for him to stabilize the situation. The next step is to start the counterattack. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 620. Zhang Cheng. Gu Qingfeng is very busy, so he doesn't like others to talk too much when answering the phone. Boss Gu, something went wrong. Do Peng's voice rang on the phone. Li Chen's son air dropped in and wiped out Fei Che-yun and the others in a flash. Now, all the backups arranged by Fei Che-yun and others are gone, and they also sent themselves in. We don't have the advantage now. Waste, you can't even do a little thing well. Gu Qingfeng cursed unhappily after hearing this. Do Peng didn't dare to refute. Okay, keep watching the Li Group first, and warn all the related companies around that they are not allowed to cooperate with the Li Group, otherwise it will be me and Gu's, and all these top pharmaceutical groups that are enemies. Gu Qingfeng said coldly. Yes. Gu Qingfeng hung up the phone, his face gloomy. Seeing Gu Qingfeng's unhappy face, the housekeeper on the side immediately said, Boss Gu, the Li Group is just a small matter. Our stretch mark removal medicine has almost built up momentum. What do you think we should do next? Continue to invest a lot of money in publicity and keep a close eye on Zhao Hualiang's movements. Yes. In addition, we are publicly recruiting actresses who are willing to endorse our perfect and traceless stretch mark medicine. It is best to be married and have children. Yes, the housekeeper nodded immediately and turned away. After leaving the company, the housekeeper immediately called for help. Publish the news and do what I said just now. Yes. On the Gu side, there are naturally many people watching the cooperation between many top pharmaceutical companies. In addition, these partners have developed a so-called perfect and traceless stretch mark removal medicine in the past 2 days, which can be said to have earned enough gimmicks. Whether it is a certain book, a certain blog, a certain audio, a certain blog, or other social platforms, they are almost all phenomenal. There is no other reason. This is a topic that everyone cannot avoid. At the same time, many people will also have this kind of lines after gaining weight. It is really nothing to hide it, but if it is exposed, it is still quite obvious. Especially for those who have to show their arms and legs in summer, it is really fatal. Who doesn't want to love beauty? Men are like this, let alone women? Although many people are unwilling to get married and have children now, it does not mean that no one will get married and have children. What's more, stretch marks will always exist, and their existence will affect the appearance and beauty. It can be said that with the promotion of Guz, many people are paying attention. And time is the best fermentation tool. Although there are things on the market, the effect is really average. When Guz side threw out a drug with an efficacy of up to 45%, It really caused a big earthquake. When will Goo's perfect traceless medicine come out? That's right, I can't wait. I've spent money, but the medicines I bought before have never worked. The medicines produced by Goose are still trustworthy. Many of their previous products have worked very well. All major platforms are now talking about this topic. This is especially true for the most popular Douyin platform. All major bloggers are talking about this news. Just then, Goose released new news, which immediately caused a sensation on the entire network. My God, is this really going to be launched? Will it be directly auditioned? Oh my God, is it an audition for the whole country? Is it true? As soon as this news was released, the entire network was in a turmoil. There is no way, this news is really too shocking. The most shocking thing is the entertainment industry. Of course, there are many people in the entertainment industry who get married and have children, but there are also many popular artists who are not as famous as before after getting married and having children. Now seeing this opportunity, it is natural to be jealous. At the first moment of the announcement, at least 30 married and childbearing female artists in China chose to contact Goose. These people were once popular or were currently popular. And some who chose to secretly marry and have children no longer concealed it at this moment. As a result, when these melons were exposed one after another, the melon-eating crowd was shocked. Goose. This building belongs to the cooperation building of major pharmaceutical companies. At this moment, the 10 receptionists in the celebrity reception area were a little flustered. Because there were really too many people calling them. So far, more than 100 female stars have called. This is still relatively well known. If you count those who are not very well known, there will be more. Because they all know that once this endorsement is won, their reputation and career will flourish. Stretch marks cover a wide age range and a wide range of people. No matter who wins, they will definitely become a national goddess-level figure in the end. This kind of fame and national popularity is something that some people can't pursue in their entire lives. At this moment, various topics have been ignited. Rong Cheng. Zhao Hualiang looked at the news with a gloomy face. Today, the people of Goose have become the most cutting edge in the industry. With the emergence of the perfect traceless stretch mark medicine, the stocks of several major companies such as Goose have been rising all the way. Then, these hot topics appeared, making their national popularity unprecedentedly high. Until now, no one can compete with them. Dong dong. Zhao Hualiang turned off the report and video, and looked at Li Chen and Murong Shui outside the door. Where are Xiao Wu and the others? Zhao Hualiang asked. Zhao Yingzi took them downstairs to eat. Li Chen smiled. After he and Murong Shui went back in the morning, they thought they could get away smoothly. Unexpectedly, Xiao Wu and Xiao Fei became leg pendants and could not be shaken off. Li Chen had no choice but to bring the 3 little ones here. That is, he was not worried that Li Chen and Murong Shui would run away here, otherwise the 3 little ones would not leave them now. Zhao Hualiang said, "Have you read the news?" "I have," Li Chen said calmly. "These things are their strengths, we can't beat them. However, in the end, it depends on the actual effect. Don't worry, let Goose show off for a while, whoever laughs last will be the winner." Zhao Hualiang smiled. He didn't expect Li Chen to be so calm. "Then let's go to the studio," Zhao Hualiang said, "but I suggest that Xiao Wu should also appear in the photo." Li Chen frowned slightly. "Of course, I'm just suggesting it." "We can try it first," Zhao Hualiang said. "Okay." Murong Shui held Li Chen's hand. She used it for 2 or 3 days, and the stretch marks had gradually faded. If you don't look carefully, it's really not obvious at all. This effect is really too good. She suspected that it would completely fade in 2 or 3 days at most. This is simply a miracle in medical history. The people invited to the studio are all professionals, and they are also related to Qingxia film and television. So, whether it is Zhao Hualiang or Li Chen, they can use it with confidence. After shooting a few groups, the director suggested adding Xiao Wu to try it, so Xiao Wu, who was still eating, was drafted. Li Chen immediately bought Xiao Wu with a meal. After the little guy was full and drunk, he was still quite obedient. After understanding the general meaning, the second round of shooting began. Li Biwu watched Murong Shui seriously point at the stretch marks, then explain and then shoot. Even Li Chen was immersed in it. Li Biwu's eyes were full of heartache and guilt towards her mother. All these were only possible because her mother gave birth to her and her brothers and sisters. So much so that after all the shots were finished, even the director forgot to call for a stop. Who would have thought that Xiao Wu, who was shooting GG for the first time, would finish the shoot in one go?